How he's going? Back in the shed again, as you can see. Did a couple of things on motor, but I've been thinking about this 360 of mine and how long it's going to take. And I'm sort of thinking I'd really like to get a V8 in the snot block. Um, Sooner than later. If that 360 is going to take a long time, well, maybe I should use another motor, and I've got another motor sitting out the back there, so I might just show you what I got. Righto, so here we have an industrial 318. It's I don't know if you can see the angle of the carb pad on the intake manifold is kicked down on a mad angle, because this thing was made for a boat. It's actually never been in a car. It's just an industrial motor that that Chrysler offered in the 70s and or 60s. I haven't even looked yet. I don't know. I'm guessing by the blue that it's a 70s motor, but I actually don't know. There's no. I haven't been able to find a casting number a casting date on it. So I'm yet to find out. But this is the 318 that I bought 5 or so years ago. Supposedly, the bloke who had it in his boat, and I'm talking not a ski boat. This is a gentleman's cruiser. He had the engine rebuilt, and mucked around with it, put a few hours on it. Still wasn't impressed, so he repowered the boat with a diesel. Now, he offered this motor to me. I said, "Oh yeah, no worries. He's a decent mechanic. I trust his work." So this, as far as I know, it's a rebuilt 318. I know for a fact that the heads have been done, because it's you can see, if you look in the exhaust ports, you can see the stellite seats. You can see the hardened seats. So we know something about it, but I might crack into it and see what we find. Glorious smell of old motor. Smell it as soon as I broke the seal on the valve cover. Come on, there we go. Oh, yeah. Reasonably clean in there. A little bit rusty. Smells like old motor. And you can see a little bit of rust and early 70s cylinder head casting number. It's a 675, so it's standard open chamber. Early 70s or late 60s, early 70s, depends. Late 60s in America, early 70s in Australia. But that's nothing too dramatic, nothing to write home about, but nothing. Factory 4-barrel on these things. The industrial 318s were rated at 250 horsepower, where the 2 barrels that came out in the cars were 230 horsepower. So, well, she's a grotty little thing. So I stuck the cover back on, and I'm going to give it a vacuum and a blow off with the air and clean her up a bit before I start into it. Because I'm sort of thinking, at this stage, my thought is get the heads shaved and throw a better inlet manifold on it and a bigger cam. And then, because I've already got I've already got a cam and lifters. I just need to buy a set of springs. And yeah, get the heads tickled up for a bit more compression, and get the guides machine down for more lift. Yeah, so cam carbon exhaust, and throw it in the car and see how it goes. Maybe spray it with some nitrous, see how things happen. So, yeah, getting a few intake manifold bolts taken out. Just sort of cleaning up as I go, hitting it with a vacuum. You can see where I vacuumed that and it pulled some oil through, so it's kind of funny, but anyway. Yeah, just pulling it piece by piece. I'll pull this cover back off in a minute and lever up on this intake. Here we go. Well, honestly, looks decent. Yeah, it's not great, but I'm not sure when they replace this, or when they rebuilt this engine, if they replaced the cam. Don't know if it's stock or whatever, but it's right now dry as, and definitely needs tons of lube if it gets reused. But alright, looks decent. I'll give it a bit of a scrape and then see how I go from there. So on a little closer inspection, I'm noticing a very rusty exhaust port. And if you look around, we have a very rusty inlet port on the same cylinder. None of the others are rusty. So, might be worth popping this head off, I reckon. Well, here's a hillbilly trick for you. Leave the rocker gear on. Wow. And loosen the head bolts. I probably should go from outside to in. Yeah, I will. I'll be a good boy. Yeah, hillbilly trick for you. Leave the rocker gear bolted down, loosen the head bolts. That way the pressure of the valve springs cracks the old head gasket free. Oh yeah. One very rusty cylinder there. Fantastic. Get this. They put 318 poly pistons in it. They rebuilt a 318 LA and put poly pistons in it. Wow. Let's find out why this is so rusty. Well, I just gave that a little spray and then realised I better show you boys. What we're dealing with here. We have one very rusty cylinder. This one's got a little bit of rust as well. Now this engine, I saw this engine turn over, so it's not seized. But either way, it's going to need some work. Wow, this is not what I was hoping for. I guess that's what happens. Buy a second-hand motor with a good promise on it. Leave it in your shed for 5 years and then... Oops. So I got it back together. Just a few bolts in. Just, yeah, had to keep the dust out of it last night. So, started pulling the accessories off. I mean, want to keep the dust out of it because, you know. Yeah, started pulling the accessories off. I'm thinking the problem must be in the head because there's no water in the oil. So it must be a cracked head, and the rust was worst in the exhaust port. So that's a pretty common place for these for heads to crack. I mean, this thing, I've got little car exhaust manifolds on it now, but when I got it, it had them great big marine exhaust manifolds, so they really hold the heat in. So at this stage, I think the short block will be okay. I think on camera, the rust in that cylinder probably looks a lot worse than it really is. It was just a whisker of surface rust. And so I'm probably going to be able to... Yeah, I'm probably going to be able to clean up that number 7 cylinder. Yeah, so I'll get on and pull the accessories off, start stripping this down, clean up the short block, and maybe think about what heads and intake I'm going to put on it. She's looking a bit cleaner, a bit barer. Yep. I had to pull these studs that were screwed into these, man, took some getting out. I mean, it was stainless steel rod the guy had used. But yeah, incredible. So hard to get it out. But yeah, things are a bit cleaner now, and I'll get her ready, throw her on an engine stand. So here we go again. Righto, so she's on a stand. Pulled a few other things off it. I've got another sump for it. So what I'll do now, I'm pretty convinced that this short block's good, just that the heads are toast. So I think that's easy enough. The blown up 360 can donate the heads, intake and the cam, and we'll throw this on that short block. So now I'm going to pull the old boat sump off of it. These things run a 10 litre bathtub type sump. So I'll pull that off and I'll wrap the crank and rods in tin foil and then throw a car sump on it. But I've got to build some kick outs on the side here whatever it looks like is going to fit in the car. So what I've got to do is bolt that onto the motor and then bolt the motor into the car, and then cut and hack and build a sump that'll hold more oil, and so that I can do that with the motor intact, and not shoot sparks and all sorts inside the engine, or wrap the cranking rods in tin foil. So sounds a bit hillbilly, but it's actually a pretty good way of doing things. Yuck. Ugh. Chrysler really thought about what they were doing, you know. Well, I don't know. I'm still confident. Righto. Cranking rods, all wrapped up in tin foil, all fireproofed for the fabrication stuff. Yeah. Now I'll get this. Where's my bolts? Oops. Product placement. There she is. Colour even matches. Oh, well, the colour and the condition matches as well. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, I mean, that's me for the time being. I'll throw this to the side. No need for product placement. So yeah, next thing I suppose I'll drop it in the car. I'm running out of time now, but I'll drop it in the car. Build a set of exhausts for it. Modify the oil pan. Then pull it out. Throw a few things together and yeah. Clean the motor up. Throw some heads on it. Cam in it. Go from there. Righto, you lot. Talk to me in the comments, won't you? Catch us after.